Hey, thank you, Jim. Like Jim said, I'm TxDOT Traffic Incident Management Statewide Coordinator. I'm actually one of two coordinators with the state of Texas. My partner is out traveling today, so is not able to be here. But I'll be here talking to you for the next 20 minutes or so about our statewide TIM program. So I believe, Kevin, you have the PowerPoint. Yep, you can click to the next one. Okay, so in TxDOT, we have several components of our TIM program. The first are our set of statewide TIM laws that we have that are geared towards responder safety and quick clearance. We have a slow down and move over law, requiring drivers to move over an additional lane or slow down to 20 miles per hour, less than the speed limit if there's an emergency vehicle on the side of the road. This covers not just police, fire, and EMS, but also TxDOT construction vehicles that are on the side of the road, towing and recovery vehicles that are on the side of the road, and even some public work utility vehicles, as long as they're operating with their lights. Additionally, we have authority removal laws that aid in quick clearance. This allows police and fire, as well as towing and recovery services, if they have been called to the scene by an officer, to remove abandoned vehicles, stalled vehicles, damaged vehicles, hazardous materials, and then just cargo from the roadway, so we can get that out of the way quickly and get the roads back and opened up and make it a safe travel for all the motorists and the responders that are working the scene. Additionally, we have a driver removal law. This is big in the metropolitan areas. This requires drivers of vehicles that have been involved in a crash, if there is minor injury and the vehicles are still drivable, they are required to move their vehicles out of the lane of travel and to a safer location, whether that's the shoulder or they're able to take the next off-ramp to a private parking lot. It's a requirement here in the state. One of the major things that helps with our statewide program and training is a training requirement in Texas. Those that are attending the basic peace officer course are required to have traffic incident management training, and those fire personnel, regardless of what stage they're at in their career, at some point have to take the traffic incident management training. There's not an equal requirement for the EMS community, but there are several TxDOT grants that supply financial backing for EMS education. And as part of the sub-grantee program, those attendees are required to have the traffic incident management training. We also have a safety service patrol. TxDOT operates safety service patrols, aka the HERO program, in the metropolitan regions of Austin, San Antonio, and El Paso. And coming soon, as of June 1st, HERO will be operating in the Midland, Odessa area on the I-20 corridor to assist them with traffic safety. Texas has recently passed legislation and has been adopted by the Texas Administrative Code that is going to allow for donations from private corporations and individuals to assist in funding with the Safety Service Patrol. A little different than a sponsorship in that there's no expectation on behalf of the donor that our operators are going to hand out brochures or any kind of pamphlet or that sort of thing, but it does allow for a acknowledgement decal to be placed on the rear of the HERO vehicles. We regularly attend traffic incident management meetings. There are metro regions here that have their own TIM teams in Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and El Paso. We have urban TIM teams in Brownwood, Abilene, Paris, and the Beaumont districts. And then we have rural TIM teams as far out West Texas as Big Bend, and the Alpine area. We've been instrumental in trying to assist in setting up those TIM teams along with our AECOM consultants and partners. Next slide. Just an opportunity here to brag for a second. Texas is #1 in trained first responders, with just a bit over 75% of the state's first responders being trained in traffic incident management. I think there's a little animation on this slide, Kevin, if you hit next. There it is. Okay, next slide. So the courses that we offer here in Texas, we try to cover beyond just the National TIM Responder course. Additionally, we have the 12-hour course. We also have a 2-hour executive course that is specifically designed for the executive level first responders. So this is your police chief, your fire chief, and we will go present at their individual agencies and explain the benefits and the importance of traffic incident management. We've put together a 2-hour high tension cable barrier training course. Texas has about 700 miles of high tension cable barrier separating our highways. And it's important for first responders to know how to interact and with that cable. We offer this to towing and recovery as well. It benefits them in knowing how to remove the vehicles from the cable system. And as a last resort, the main thing in the training is if they have to cut the cable, how to cut the cable and where to cut the cable to reduce the chance of injury. And of course, to make it easier for the TxDOT crew to go out and repair that cable as well. With the abundance of electric vehicles, there's a course on the unique hazards and considerations involving electric vehicles. This is generally geared more towards the fire side, but we will travel to any fire department that's requesting the training. And we've had quite a bit of success with that as well. Next slide. This is our TIM training outreach brochure. So we attend several conferences throughout the year, both within TxDOT and outside of TxDOT. We have an annual presence at the Texas Police Chief Committee Conference each year, where we set up a vendor booth and talk about the importance of TIM and how TIM benefits their agency. And these brochures are on the table. We take these with us everywhere so that we can hand them out to those that are interested. And the ones that aren't interested, we try to hand them out to them anyways to get them interested. It's what you're looking at is the front page of the brochure and then the back page of the brochure right next to it. We talk about benefits to their agency, obviously responder safety being one of them. We emphasize that the value of the training is to their benefit because it's free. It's convenient in the fact that we're going to go to them. They don't have to send their personnel anywhere. We will respond to their agency and do the training there. We let them know that it's expandable, that they have the opportunity to certify their own trainers. And then it reinforces with the rank and file that their executive level chain of command does truly care about them. It improves the morale in knowing that those that they work for are concerned with their safety. The brochure also breaks down the course lesson summary and what they can expect to learn while they're at the TIM training course, as well as reiterating the 3 national unified goals. Next slide. So this breaks down a lot of our outreach efforts. Like I stated, we have an annual presence at the Texas Police Chief Association Conference. We're actually getting ready to travel there in a couple weeks. It's in Galveston, Texas, and it's an opportunity for us to make contact with hundreds of police chiefs from across the state. This is a photo of the vendor booth that they allow us to set up right outside the banquet hall. So we get a lot of foot traffic by our booth. My understanding is this year will be even set up in a better location, so we're looking forward to that. We have a working relationship with the Texas Fire Chief Association as well. We're hoping this year we'll be able to attend their annual conference. We distribute a quarterly newsletter that goes out to about 780 recipients. Every time we teach a Tim Train the Trainer course and the student supplies their email address, we automatically add them to the subscriber list. I don't know if that's a benefit or welcomed, but they get a copy of the newsletter anyway so that they can stay up to date on the latest Tim practices. And we disseminate a lot of information through the newsletter to include a memorial page of first responders that have been struck by vehicles within that quarter. Additionally, we host a bi-monthly statewide webinar. One of my partner and I's goals when we started as the Tim coordinators was to get out of the office, get out of the Austin area, and we try to go to one of TxDOT's 25 districts every other month to host our statewide webinar. This gives that district an opportunity to kind of spotlight what they're working on, the initiatives that they have going in the name of traffic safety, and it puts us out there and able to reach a wider audience. So we make that a point to have that webinar somewhere different each time. We have a statewide weekly Tim team meeting, which is comprised of Tim representatives from the major metropolitan areas, as well as some of the urban areas. And in conjunction with that, we have several AECOM consultants that work with the statewide Tim team. Go to the next slide. We have a presence at district level traffic safety coalition meetings. So these happen throughout the state in each of TxDOT's 25 districts. Unfortunately, a lot of them are on the same day, so we do have to kind of spread the wealth and rotate which ones we can attend. But we do make it a point to get out in person to attend each one of these. It's a way that the district knows that we're supporting them in their Tim effort. We present at these traffic safety coalition meetings on Tim topics, courses that we offer. Several of the districts have a fatality review board that we will sit in on and provide additional input. Recently, the Beaumont district, which is down near the Houston area, is in the midst of a restoration project for one of the bridges that's there. It's called the Rainbow Bridge. We went down and helped the establishment of the Tim team there, as well as putting plans into action for what they're going to do to address traffic incidents on the bridge. Basically, it's a two-directional bridge that's, well, it was a one-way bridge that they're closing off. So the additional bridge that is there is going to now account for traffic flow in both directions. They're, narrow lanes, no shoulder. So they're efforting plans right now as we speak to come up with a plan for traffic incidents. In fact, we will be there in Beaumont tomorrow to attend their second Tim team meeting. With the assistance of our consultants, we've been able to establish and support Tim teams, both urban and rural throughout the state, with the Big Bend Alpine area being the most recent addition to those Tim teams. But I think when it comes down to it, one of the big things that makes Texas successful is both Sean and I are first responders at heart, will always be. We both retired from a long career in law enforcement. We understand the safety of first responders and the necessity of that. And the fact that we're willing to travel anywhere in the state and assist the agencies, we assist the TxDOT maintenance crews, whoever we can with this important life-saving training. I think that's what speaks the most volume about the success of our program, is the willingness that Sean and I are going to travel anywhere to provide this training. It says there even a small town storm shelter. That's not an exaggeration. We were outside of Huntsville, Texas last year It's a very small town, and the best place they had was what serves as the town storm shelter. And with the equipment provided to us by TxDOT, we were able to set up a very effective TIM classroom there and train just about 40 first responders in the area. One of the other things that helps us out here in Texas is each district has a dedicated traffic safety specialist. We work hand in hand with them on a regular basis. They keep us apprised of the traffic safety issues that are going on in their districts. And if we can help them, we'll be there to support the traffic safety specialist in any way that we can. Most of the time it's through providing training or at least awareness. Not a lot of first responders are aware of TIM. As a 24-year officer, I had surpassed the requirement to attend TIM training during the basic peace officer course. So this means that officers that have, 10 or so years on the street have probably never heard the term TIM unless their brand new rookie brings it up to them during the field training period. So we are constantly striving to get more and more experienced cops in the classroom so that we can get that message out on the street to officers that are working the street that graduated from the police academy, 10 or 12 years ago. I think statistically at 10 years is when they show officers start to get the most complacent in the performance of their duties. So we want to hit that demographic as best we can, remind them that the highway is a dangerous place to be, and reinstill some of those principles that fall in line with the unified goals of responder safety, safe, quick clearance, and then clear interoperable communication. Next slide. This is our TxDOT TIM page. So if you're anywhere in Texas and Google TIM Training Texas, this is going to come up at the top of your Google search. This is kind of a broken down view of the TIM page. At the top, we have a way to get in contact with us, and it's a simple, easy email to remember for us here. It's just tim@txdot.gov. You can hit the next button a couple of times for me, Kevin. One more and one more. Below that, we have a link on our YouTube video of what TxDOT's traffic incident management training comprises of. Additionally, here in the first block here, you can see that you can go to that page, subscribe to our newsletter by adding your email address. It sends an email address to my partner and I, and then we're able to add that email address to the subscriber list. You can request training through the TxDOT TIM page. And additionally, you can request an invite to attend one of the bi-monthly webinars. Above that, you'll see training opportunities. This is a list of the upcoming trainings that we have booked with various first responder agencies. And any TxDOT TIM certified instructor that wants to advertise their upcoming course on the page just has to get in contact with us, and we'll assist them in Google registration forms as well as training announcements to send out. When we send our training announcement out to an agency that's requesting training, we send it both in electronic form and paper form with both a link and a QR code to sign up. And then they will send this invitation out to all of their surrounding agencies. So we try to incorporate a good mix of first responder disciplines in each of our class and not just limit it to police and fire, but to get it out to everybody. We've had quite a bit of success with that. We keep a minimum student requirement in place. So when they're requesting training, we let them know up front, the more the better. And this is the way you can get more participation, is by sending this announcement out to all your partner agencies in the area. And lastly, one of the big things we try to do is to incorporate a lot of instructor participation. So just because you've come and taken the TIM Train the Trainer course, gotten your certificate and head out the door, It's not going to be the last time you hear from us. We're in the process of compiling a list based on geographical location so that when we do get training requests in, we're able to send out emailed invites to the trainers that are certified in that area. And we welcome them to come and co-teach with us, whether it's one module or they want to teach multiple. We're really big on instructor engagement and then instructor re-engagement to keep making sure that that message is getting spread out across the state. Next slide. This is my contact information and Sean's contact information. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. If you have questions about how to get something implemented in your state that you're not already doing that we are, we're happy to help. We're happy to travel and come visit one-on-one if that's something that we need to do. And unless anybody has any questions, I think that's my time.
With that, I'm going to move to our Q&A here. And we have John, Chris, and yeah, John and Chris can turn on their cameras again. We have some questions, Vishali, on the Q&A in the chat pod. Have we addressed all of those, Vishali?
Question. I think the only one that we did address, but if you want to speak more to, is national accreditation for safety service patrol programs.
Yeah,
National-
And that was a question for
Yeah.
John.
Go ahead, John.
yeah, I that is an interesting idea, but again, it is such a crazy field full of cats all doing their own cat stuff that getting it to a point where you'd be able to say, okay, you're all cats, you all use this same litter box, and you all drink out of the same water bowl. That's still a ways to go, and what that looks like. And if you say, well, you're gonna, to be accredited, you need to do A, B, and C. There's going to be at least a third of the programs. Well, we only do A and B, or we only do A and C. So it's an interesting thought, and I think it's probably on the wish list, but I don't know what that looks like yet. And trying to have it be useful enough. And really, that was a lot of the point of the industry association, and then that didn't go anywhere. Maybe the pooled fund study will help at least facilitate this communication to get everybody in the same room. But I think that's still a long ways off. But it's certainly a good one to mention, though. It's a good one to keep bringing up, though.
Absolutely. And to that point, as you were speaking earlier, John, you've heard me say this before. States, DOTs, and the SSP programs, or TIM programs as a whole, I believe, do not do enough to wave their flag of success. And it's not always easy because you have to have a good relationship with your public affairs officers, your PIOs, your communications officers, and inform them about the great work that the service patrols did on a particular incident, day, or what have you, and do that all the time. Some states do a little better in that area, but I can tell you in Washington, D.C., when I ran the program working in collaboration with VDOT and Maryland SHA, all the time we were saying and talking over their airwaves, radio airwaves, that is, not so much TV, but radio airwaves, about the great work that the patrol services provide to the motoring public. So keep that in mind. Okay, so what about our canned questions here? Vishali, do you want to go?
Sure.
Because there was some great points made by both. I know Chris in particular you know, his weekly, he has weekly meetings with, I think you said districts, Chris? And then you had the monthly or quarterly meetings statewide with the statewide group.
Yeah.
Can you
Jim,
speak a little? Go ahead,
I'm sorry,
Vashon.
go ahead.
No.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, you mentioned that you have the monthly and quarterly, well, let's see, nationally, a lot of TIM groups meet monthly and quarterly, but your statewide group meets weekly. So can you speak more to what you cover in these weekly meetings, who participates in the weekly meetings, and the value you find from this weekly touch base?
Sure. We meet weekly with most of the major metropolitan region TIM coordinators, as well as our AECOM consultants. Most of the time, we're discussing current events, traffic incidents that have occurred on Texas roadways. We talk about the content for upcoming bi-monthly webinars, as well as content that's coming to the next newsletter. So we don't find it necessary that Sean and I have to be the focus of each newsletter. So everyone kind of checks their ego at the door, and whoever has a topic that we think is going to garner the most interest in traffic incident management, that's kind of how we pick what goes on the front page of the TIM newsletter. It's a recap of the previous quarter, where trainings have been conducted, new innovation that's coming out from TxDOT, from drone usage to VSLs and dynamic messaging signs. We cover all of that. Recently, we covered the difference between the old concrete barriers that you see here in Texas versus the high tension cable system. So it's just a meeting of the minds and a collaborative effort to put the best information out to the audience. And then we do the same with the bi-monthly as well. When the timing lines up, we use the bi-monthly to garner interest in the upcoming newsletter, and vice versa. If the newsletter comes out ahead of time, then we'll use the newsletter to garner information for the upcoming webinar. But the topics are vast, and we try not to do too many repeats in the webinars or the newsletters. Every once in a while, we'll bring back a speaker just because there was a lot of interest in the topic, or it's still an ongoing thing. For instance, here in Texas, we have a lieutenant with Lubbock Fire that's leading the way for, helmets for first responders that are working incident scenes on high-speed roadways. And then in the coming newsletter and webinars, we're really trying to spread the word on the on-scene blood transfusion that a lot of EMS agencies here in Central Texas are going to.
That's pretty impressive. I think what's unique is that you're not, like you said, shouldering the load for the newsletter on just TxDOT, but you are relying on your partners at all of the regions. Very few states have quarterly TIM newsletters. Do you have any suggestions, or what might it take for other states to copy your success? And I think what's unique you shared in your presentation is that anytime you have a TIM responder that's trained, you add them to your newsletter. So you're growing your subscriber list. But what's your sort of recipe or guidance for others that may not yet have a newsletter?
Well, I think one of the big advantages we have, and kudos to our predecessor, is neither Sean nor I can take credit for building a great TIM program. We were fortunate to walk into one, and we've provided some updates to the program, but we started with a great program to begin with. We advertise and talk about the newsletter on a regular basis. Every TIM training we do, we discuss the newsletter. It's really building that subscriber base. We've learned that if the newsletter is 6 pages long, and I can look at the metrics after the distribution of the newsletter, around page 3 or 4, people start to lose interest. So the same thing with our webinars, where initially the model was to book 2 or 3 speakers to give each one of them 10 to 15 minutes to talk about a topic. And the newsletter, was filled with multiple articles. And we quickly realized that a lot of the speakers during their presentation would say, this is something I was going to cover, but I was out of time. Or I wanted to talk about this, but I only have 10 minutes. We quickly decided that we wanted to build on quality of content over quantity of content, and really just started limiting it to 1 or 2. A lot of the webinars have both an in-person and virtual attendance option, and it garners a lot of just organic conversation that comes out of it. So the one thing we try not to do is to cut a speaker off to a time limit, because if there's audience participation, especially from the first responder community, we want to keep that going, and not just, okay, the 20 minutes is up. So we really try to focus on quality of content versus quantity. And the newsletter is the same. If it's a topic that's worthy of 2 pages that's putting life-saving information out, we're going to go with that over a standardized approach to the newsletter of, this is the page where we discuss this topic, or this is the page where we present this. We really just try to be free-flowing and put the best information out there. And, if that's 2 articles for the entire newsletter, we'd rather put something out that people are going to read than put something out that people get a page or 2 into and then, click the X at the top of the screen to close it.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Mhm.
Jim, back to you. I know we have a couple more questions for John as well, but I didn't know if you wanted to sort of spotlight, like Chris said, there's really a very strong, energized program that was developed at TxDOT over the last, I want to say 5 years or so, and it's just going gangbusters. So any more questions for Chris?
Not for Chris right now. I'd like to ask John a question, which is, and apologize if you touched on these a little bit, John, but what types of training do your service patrols receive in Minnesota and elsewhere? Can you share some information?
Yeah, so Minnesota is basically all on the job. And there's not a lot of turnover. So the program, it's a small program. The turnover has not been too crazy. It's a couple of years. We have been hiring. Most recently, we've been hiring out of the tow industry. It's kind of one of these things that for a while it was like a bunch of fire volunteer, some retired people, and then it was some volunteer fire. And then we started shifting in the tow, which was one of these things where you hire one tow driver and then they have some friends and then they call some other friends and then they come in. So the last few years has been really tow heavy. So a lot of it, I mean, really all of our training is on the job. It's they ride for a week with the supervisor and then they ride with each driver on the shift. And at the end, and then each of the drivers signs off on them and says, yeah, no, they're okay, they're okay, they're okay. And then it kind of goes that way. So we do not do any classroom or any formal training. And that's very different than some other states that have like multiple week like academies and stuff like that. We don't do that.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. What about the economics of providing a safety service patrol, John? How are you guys funded? And
So ours is, again, every area is going to be completely different. Ours is part of the traffic management center. So the traffic management center has its budget, like, I don't know, 4 million, 5 million, something like that a year. And that includes like 60 staff people, including the people who fix the cameras, who go out and fix stuff, and then the people who design the fiber and design where things are going to be, and the integrators who plug stuff in, the TMC dispatchers, and then the service patrol. So ours is funded out of the DOT budget and is specifically to the traffic management center. Probably very different than a lot of other states who are all going to have their own ways of doing it.
okay, well, thank you for that.
I will mention mention one quick thing. I know there's 1 or 2 questions about Swiper and about the debris clearance, and without getting into a lot of the details of that, probably the easiest thing is just just contact me about it, and we can talk more about it. It basically, this was Missouri DOT's project, and they had two projects, and we tested them, and we liked the one, and then we went through that subcontractor that Missouri DOT was going, but it's all like, this is all like little things that have kind of like, now they're slightly larger, but they are not like marketed like the big expensive one is marketed. So probably the easiest thing is just contact me directly if you want to talk about debris clearance stuff.
Very
And
good.
there's one more question for Chris. Are you holding these events in person or hybrid virtual meetings or both? And I'm guessing that question from Terry Thompson is related perhaps both to the weekly meetings that you were talking about and then the bi-monthly outreach efforts.
Okay, the weekly meeting that we have is virtual. And then the bi-monthly webinars, we have both an in-person and online element, so that we're able to attend them in person. The presenters are generally also in person. Periodically, if they're out of state, then we would have them present virtually. But for the most part, the presenters and myself and Sean are in person, along with whoever the local stakeholders are. And then there is a virtual portion that's online for people that are further away.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, what about the percentage of funding, federal versus state?
Yeah, I'm looking at that in the chat. TxDOT receives its annual budget from the state. So my full-time position here with TxDOT as well as Sean's is all part of state funds. Nothing that funds our participation in the program comes from the federal government.
Okay. By the way, on your bi-monthly webinars that I have had the pleasure of listening into from time to time, is there a link? I know Jim Comfort, you usually have Jim he's on a contractor team, I believe. Sends out the link.
Jim handles sending out the link as well as the agenda and, putting together and combining the presenter slide deck. But if anyone wants to subscribe to that, they can just go to the TxDOT Tim page and click on the subscribe button. It'll send us an email, and then we can add that email to the invite list.
Yes, sir. I try to steer many of our friends across the country to your bi-monthly because it's just fantastic. And
we appreciate that. We are really looking forward to the next one. If everything goes as planned, sometimes it doesn't always happen. A presenter has to cancel, but the next one we're hoping to hear from both the medical side as well as the business side of these agreements that our local EMS agencies have with the blood banks here to provide that on-scene blood transfusion.
Yeah, and that whole effort in the EMS world with the blood, whole blood, real blood being made available at crash scenes is an incredible initiative that stands to save a lot of the lives. And I've heard as many as 40% of the, let's just say 35 approximately 1,000 fatalities that occur every year. Think about that. EMS, paramedics, EMTs having whole blood on scene to administer to someone with life-threatening injuries that's bleeding out, and now their life is being saved by the fact that there's whole blood being administered to them on scene, and then later when they continue their journey to being transported to a trauma center. This is new stuff that's happening.
We have an agency here in Central Texas that within the last year I don't have the exact number, but it is well over 500 units of real blood that they've used on scene, with a dramatic increase of survivability for the patient before they get to the hospital.
Exactly, exactly. That is just wonderful. Thank you. So
And
we have about 8 minutes left.
well, I think we're almost out of time. We typically try to finish about 10 minutes in in advance of the 3 p.m. mark.
We do?
So we do.
I thought we always go 10 minutes over, but no, I love it. I love it. Anything else from any of our audience? Now's the time you can speak up, open your mic. If anybody has anything they want to share. Kevin, are they able to do that? And I
think there was
see-
one- Go
There
ahead.
go- Now, I just see so many friends on this call, and it's been a delight to see all of you here. Again, as I've said, the champions and leaders in TIM across this land. So you should all be very proud. And
There's a new question from Tony Casella, noting that from some of their Towards Zero Death coordinators, that not everyone has time for TIM coalition meetings 2 or more times a year. These are the in-person meetings. Have you any experience related to that, and how did you handle it?
I think we encounter that a lot in the TIM community with first responders, where no one has time for training until an incident happens. So we do talk about a lot. One of the philosophies that we share quite often is not to let tragedy drive your training, to stay proactive, to stay ahead of it. I'm hearing an echo for some reason, but there's a study that shows it just takes one person to change the mind of an entire crowd to take action. So one of the big challenges we have and put out there to a lot of our audience is be the person that makes the decision to take action. And you'll be surprised at how many people are willing to step up alongside of you. It just takes one to make that difference. So between that and, we preach a lot of, like I said, about not letting tragedy drive your training. Don't wait until you've had a, massive fatality on the highway to then decide to call your TIM coordinators and set up training. You just do your best to stay ahead of it and keep people active, keep people engaged by interesting topics. And I think it's one of those things where we saw an improvement in attendance when we started focusing on 1 or 2 quality presenters with good information to put out, instead of trying to pack, 3 or 4 presenters that were limited on time into the same time span.
Thank you.
yes, sir. Okay. Well, I am going to close it out then, Vishali, with a huge thank you to Christopher Gray from TxDOT and John McClellan from Minnesota DOT. Thank you so much for your presentations. And as was said earlier, folks, you should make it a point to grab the recordings off of the National Operations Center of Excellence. I want to extend a big thank you as well to Kevin Vida and of course Vishali Shah for their efforts here. Without them, we can't make this possible. And to each and every one of you, a huge, huge virtual hug from Jim Ostrich. You know me, I'm kind of a sentimental guy, and wish you all the best. And oh, wait a minute. Oh boy, Tom Martin. I can't ignore Tom Martin. He raised his hand. Tom Martin, are you there? Go ahead, Tom.
Jim, if you can hear me, it's great to
Can hear you. Can hear you, Tom.
again, my friend.
Yes, sir. Did you have a question?
No, I did not. If I raised my hand, it was by accident.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Tom is a legend as well. Tom is a retired captain with the Virginia State Police. We worked together many years ago. He was in the state of Virginia, obviously Virginia State Police, and we trailblazed, broke down a lot of barriers and did a lot of great things. So thank you, Tom. Great to hear
Thanks,
your
Jim.
voice.
Good to hear
Yes,
from you.
sir. Thank you. And so once again, thank you all. God bless. Stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Our roadways are not nice places to be. And you could be here today, gone tomorrow. So we'll see you next time.